Welcome to Kitchen Table Tangles. I'm Rick,
I'm Maria.
and today, well, what are we going to talk about?
I don't know. Well, maybe we could do this, or maybe we could do that. Yeah.
Well, this is all about a variation on the tangle well, and we're going to explore how we can play with well. And if you look up on the newsletter or on the app, you can see the step out for well.
Which is basically what we're doing on this one square right here.
And we're going to do a part of well, but then we're going to take it in a fractally different direction. And I just want to point out a little bit, you'll notice how Maria is restating the line, and that's a technique she'll often use, and just be on the lookout for that.
So I'm doing well in each of these sections, and each time the section's getting a little bit smaller. And you guys might want to look up what a fractal is. We can't really get into a lot of definition in this segment, but you can see how it's just, we could go for an infinite amount of time, just going smaller and smaller. But we're going to do it 3 times. I found 3 times is the charm here.
So we've got the same stroke. Again, it's that sort of C shape with the circle shape, and just keep going within each section.
So now I'm taking the same pen, that brown 01, and I'm aura-ing each of the sections, these little sort of stretched out triangular sections, and giving them a little bit more of a definition.
Structure or something. So within that structure, you'll notice that the structure, she keeps the distance of the lines about the same ways away.
So when I can't do a whole aura, I'll just do part of an aura. You can see that.
So here she's using, if you remember Molly's Munchin tangle, we're just going into, or she's just going into those individual sections and adding that
dot to
Munchin
line,
texture.
dot to line. You can hear Molly at seminar.
Dot to line. And then once we fill all of those in, and it's sort of like a little treasure hunt. Did I get them all? Oh, no, there's another one.
To me, this looks like something that is inflating with breath. You know,
Yeah.
the thing is puffing out.
There's a lot of movement there.
So I'm going around with an 01 black, just to kind of play with it. You know, whenever I'm in a standstill and I don't know what to do next, I just aura. That's the next thing I do. And you can see every once in a while, I'm sort of pausing. Okay, what do I do next? I'm just going to do an aura until I figure it out.
We have a sign up here in the house that says, "When in doubt, aura."
Works every time.
This is a great technique, going back in with a different color pen and restating that line. Look at the impact and the contrast that offers.
It just feels good, too. I go back, and it's almost like I'm just giving it a little pat on the back or a little tickle, you know? Now I'm just going to go in and add some graphite in the crevices and the corners, just to make it, those munchins popping out a little more.
And it just gives some dimensionality and then sort of reinforces that structure of those aurid lines. And if you didn't know how this was created in that sort of fractal manner of creating a well inside a well, then you'd be like, oh, how did they do this? This is so complicated. But like all things Zentangle, there's a very simple way to accomplish this.
This is so cool because I think there are other tangles where we could fractalize. Is that a good word, fractal?
In fact, I've got a whole bunch of stuff waiting to put together. So I'm very excited about this. We're
Awesome.
having some good fun in playing with these different layers and different iterations.
So now I'm going in and just highlighting some of those munchins just to give it some character.
Look at the impact of that. Now they're just like folding out and fanning, and you get a sense of their dimensionality. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm just going to go around and add some highlights here and there, just for fun, because it's so much fun putting the white down. Brings everything to life.
And you'll notice she's not doing the same thing on every single space mechanically. Oh, and I love this. This is something that you might not even notice, but if you go into those corners where you've added the graphite and just add a little bit of the black from the Micron 01, it really increases the contrast,
Accentuates.
accentuates it.
I do this automatically, usually just in like from my lettering days, just to clean up the edges of letters or things like that. So I tend to do things like that automatically.
So here, again with the aura, but in this aura, it's a very wide aura, and watch what she does with it once it's done there. By doing this little, what would you call it, where the creases or the corners are, it gives this beautiful mitered, beveled appearance that you can play with later.
Yeah, I play with that often because it gives me places to use for shading. So I'm going to add some General's watercolor pencil, and this is like a turquoisey color.
And the neat thing about this is once it's down, you can, well, you'll see. You just watch what happens here.
This is just going to give it a little tiny touch of color. And sometimes, if you realize that color is a beautiful thing, but sometimes it only takes a little bit to get it to sparkle. So now I'm going over near where those coffered corners or foldings are, and giving it a little bit of the turquoise. Now I have a paintbrush, a watercolor paintbrush, with just water on it. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling the color into the, to soften the edge. And it just gives it such a painterly look with not a lot of effort.
So it's like using the water brush
As a tortillon.
As a tortillon, yeah.
How fun is that?
It's a neat combination.
I love taking out my brushes. And this is so easy. All you have to have is the water. Really coming together now. I can see it. And I'm going to add something a little crazy here.
Just taking the edge off of that big white area and making it a little steampunky, and add some shading. Nice touch.
I like this tile.
It's very cool.
Very cool. Put in my chop, and
you'll also notice that this is a 3.5-inch tile, but the initial shape is fairly far in from the edges. So you can make it as close to the edge of the tile or as far in from the edge of the tile as you want. And sometimes that extra space makes a really nice frame for what's inside it.
I love to play with the margin space, and to me, something that when it starts to get smaller gets a little more precious.
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Very nice.
Here we go again.
So we're gonna, or we, I say like we cook supper when she cooks supper, but notice that this is a similar approach, but in free space of well.
So now these lines that are spoking out from the circle, from the center piece here, notice that when we did it before, they were more like a C shape. This one here is almost going into the S shape, almost like Fangle.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're going to start all over again.
And so now we're approaching this sort of fractal approach that we're exploring here, and we'll use each of those little spaces, and with takeoff and land, that you probably know what that means, we will reiterate that S shape within each of those triangles.
So it has now a very fluid look, like it looks like a stingray, like it'd be floating in the ocean.
Beautiful.
How fun! Look at this. So now we're going to go well on the third iteration of well. And 3 is a charm. I think any more than that, they start to get so small. I mean, unless you were working on an opus tile, I suppose you could go on for a little while.
You could go on crazy. I can't wait to see what people do with this. So again, rinse and repeat. We'll connect those with takeoff and land, and just go around and do each one.
You probably are best served really rotating your tile with each of these strokes so that you make sure you get your stroke going in the right direction. I didn't turn it too much because it's a little hard on the eyes when on film.
So now that we've got all of those done,
Ah, how pretty. Even just
right?
that is beautiful. So now I have a brown pen, and I'm going to start, it's not really aura-ing, but I'm adding like a petal shape inside each of these triangles and outside.
So each of the line is going to have a echo that begins and ends in the same place. And it just adds a whole other look, stroke by stroke.
Wow. Tell someone to draw that.
Right?
Yeah. I love the idea of, oh, look what this is cool.
So I love how Maria puts those, you know,
Perk?
yeah, like within Perk, you know, the circles in Perk, that they're just really clumped up together. They're not, you know, they're overlaying. See how that it's like so close together, like real peas in a pod. It's a great effect.
You want it to look like it's smushed in there. You don't want any space between the lines and the circles. Oh, this is so pretty.
And it's a nice combination of straight lines and circular lines, straight-ish.
Yeah. So now I'm going to go around the hubs. I guess you would call it sort of like where all the patterns all kind of radiate from these hubs. And by adding some graphite around there, we're going to have like a tufting effect, like a pillow, you know, when you put a button tuft.
So the approach is that anything that you add graphite to tends to recede, and anything that you leave without graphite tends to rise up.
So it's starting to come to shape. It's still really pretty. So see, you can see how heavy-handed I am. I'm actually breaking my pencil there. But I'm putting down highlights around these the graphite that I just put down. So it'll give it even more of a tufted feeling.
And again, you'll notice that she does it on some of them, but it doesn't have to be done on every single one. The eye will fill that in. Keeps it from being a little too busy.
You can see now I'm just kind of going in and playing with the edges, giving them some dimension.
Little bits of highlight on those circles. Just trusting that as you're moving around the tile, your pen or pencil will find the right place to put something down.
And don't forget, this is a pattern as opposed to something with a light source. We're doing this just to bring life to it.
So we're going to give you some more examples. You might want to stop the video now and then just to look at them. But these are this is so cool. Some ones that include this well iteration. Just some beautiful examples. A lot of these or all of these are on the Zentangle Mosaic app as well. So you can look at those for free. Beautiful.
Ah, look at that.
Isn't that fun?
How cool is that?
And there we have it, the original. So
Thanks for joining us.
we look forward to seeing what you do, and see you next time.